Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, the Australian Medical Association says patient outcomes are being put at risk in our hospitals, releasing a report that highlights a concerning picture of the Tasmanian health system. Sick and injured patients are being left to wait for treatment far longer than recommended. The organisation says more federal funding is sorely needed.
Tasmanian emergency departments overflowing, healthcare staff at breaking point.
Some are moving on. Yeah, we are having people who can't just keep up the pace, who are in tears at the end of a double shift because they had to stay back.
The Australian Medical Association releasing a damning report into the state's health system, highlighting blown-out elective surgery waiting lists, causing many patients with potentially life-threatening presentations to suffer while waiting for treatment.
At the Royal Hobart Hospital, if you go there with an emergency condition that should be dealt with within 10 minutes, under 50% of patients are actually dealt with within that time frame.
But the state government says it believes it's delivering quality healthcare to Tasmanians, with a $580 million upgrade planned for the Launceston General Hospital over the next decade.
We've made record investments in health and the health services throughout Tasmania. We now have more doctors, more nurses.
As an election looms, the AMA is calling on the federal government to increase its funding.
The federal government pays for 45% of public hospital funding. We think it should be 50%, and that extra money should be reinvested by our state governments into public hospitals.
The AMA says a GP shortage is putting extra demand on hospitals, with patients who can't get into their local practice going to an emergency department for minor treatment instead.
The Tasmanian government should be working with the relevant colleges and the federal government to support GPs to work in our regional areas and our cities to support people to have access to affordable healthcare.
Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania has recorded a further jump in COVID cases overnight, recording 1,909 new infections, up 50 from yesterday's total. There are around 8,500 active cases in the state. While there have been no new deaths recorded, 25 people remain in hospital. 3 of those are in ICU. A man accused of a deadly Bridgewater shooting will fight his charges after pleading not guilty to murder and a number of gun offences in the Hobart Magistrates Court this morning. Hayden Dale Smith is accused of killing Ty Paul Silver at a home in Bridgewater in January. The matter has now been committed to the Supreme Court for trial in May. Until then, the 23-year-old will remain in custody. Meanwhile, an alleged prison escapee who spent 3 days at large is yet to enter a plea. Dale Howlett will now reappear in person at the Hobart Magistrates Court in April. And on those jobless numbers, a record number of Tasmanians were employed last month, according to those latest ABS data figures. More than 265,000 people were employed in February, with an extra 6,000 people finding work. A record number of women are also in the workforce. Our jobless rate remains at 3.9%. Tasmanian businesses aren't feeling assured since the borders reopened in December. In fact, they're the least confident than in any other state, according to the NAB Monthly Business Survey. Labor is calling on the government to provide local businesses with more support.
Businesses need to now have confidence that they can plan for winter and prepare themselves to trade successfully through until the next summer season.
The state government says the positive jobs figures are proof of confidence. The Tasmanian Aboriginal community has reached a landmark deal with the state government to fish 40 abalone units under a new lease. The historic agreement falls on National Close the Gap Day, but elders say much more needs to be done to achieve reconciliation.
A day of healing for Tasmanian Aboriginal people, signing a historic deal that recognises a deep connection to sea country. The 3-year lease between the state government and Aboriginal community is leading the national charge, enabling Indigenous Tasmanians to access 40 abalone units for cultural and commercial fishing.
The first time that these particular units have been leased to the Aboriginal community here in Tasmania. and we congratulate them on their leadership.
The milestone proving an emotional day for those involved, reclaiming a piece of cultural history.
We can begin to start to chip away and transform that into fisheries for social impact and deliver real regional development benefits from Indigenous leadership.
The Indigenous Land and Sea Corporation says this is just the beginning of a process to further Aboriginal rights.
This is one of many in the country that are starting to move towards getting quotas for their participation in not just the commercial but also their reconnection to their customs and their long-standing traditions.
Today's agreement falls on National Close the Gap Day, and while it's made great inroads to achieving reconciliation, the Tasmanian Aboriginal community says there's still a long way to go to improve health and social outcomes for everyone.
I would say that there's a lot of other things we need to do as a country to close the gap, and it's going to take a fair while to do that.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Good news for frustrated motorists with the launch of a new Southern Transport Forum aiming to ease traffic complications. The RACT has joined forces with several local companies and communities to find a consensus about reducing drive times.
We only have to make some small changes in mode use, in transport use, to make a significant difference to congestion in Hobart.
When people choose to travel somewhere, it's about flexibility, efficiency, safety, accessibility.
The Road Advocacy Group also says a spike in fuel prices is driving the need for a greater range of transport options. A stream of green is flowing from Tasmanian venues tonight with St Patrick's Day celebrations in full force. The state's Irish pubs have embraced the iconic day on the calendar, toasting to the patron saint of Ireland.
It's not every day you catch a glimpse of a leprechaun enjoying an Irish jig. But St Patrick's Day is, of course, the exception, seeing the thirsty venture out to celebrate, many connecting back with their homeland.
They did Irish dancing, I did it, my mum was Irish, my father's family are Irish. We just love celebrating St Patrick's Day, so we all took the day off.
One thing that's great is Mum being my boss, she allows us to take St Patrick's Day off every year.
We start early and finish late and every year.
The occasion marking one of the biggest trading days on the calendar for the state's pubs.
It's our biggest day of the year. This is our grand final today. It means everything. We've got a real strong local Irish group that come in, and it means a lot to them as well.
We've got a good crowd here tonight. A lot of people wearing green, which is awesome, representing the Irish. We go through about 10 times more Guinness than we would on a normal day.
Among the colourful sea of green flowed live traditional music, as always a draw card.
Well, as a musician, I need to learn some Irish music, but I still really appreciate it.
But we do water aerobics and we all go out once a month or once every 4 weeks, and this was the day we decided we'd go.
Tasmania deemed the perfect location for expats enjoying the festivities.
If similar, Rawley Hills, green grass, yeah, pretty good.
At least 2,000 pints of Guinness will be poured here at the New Sydney Hotel today alone, with some revellers waiting from 7 a.m. this morning for the doors to open. Although the iconic drop wasn't for everyone.
An Irishman drinking a cider, what's going on?
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, more than 100 new Tasmanians of differing cultural backgrounds attended a staggered lunch to celebrate Harmony Day, sharing their traditions. Food lovers were treated to Bhutanese curry, Sudanese donuts and more.
Doing coffee, traditional coffee with traditional bread and popcorn.
Harmony Day is important because it's a celebration of diversity, just being together, eating, drinking coffee.
The Migrant Resource Centre is hoping to top this year's event next year with more cultures celebrated. Preparations are well underway for the Royal Hobart Hospital's Easter egg hunt, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary. The hospital's research foundation is hoping to raise enough funds to sponsor 3 new medical grants.
This funds a myriad of different types of medical research, things from stroke, cystic fibrosis. We've got a lot of stuff that's actually looking into osteoarthritis.
Families wishing to attend can hop online to secure a ticket. The event will be held on Good Friday. A Tasmanian mother is preparing to give her 15-month-old son a life-saving gift when she donates one of her kidneys to help him fight a rare condition. But a lack of local specialists means KIRSTY CARR has decided to leave Tasmania, so her baby Xander has the best chance of living a normal life.
For many children Xander's age, playtime is their world. But this brave 15-month-old has spent much of his life in and out of hospital in Melbourne, something made even harder during COVID.
It was one thing learning how to change a nappy and feeding a normal baby and going through all of the milestones, but it's another having one that needs insane care.
Now mother Kirsty has another river to cross. She's donating one of her kidneys to Xander because his renal function is at a critically low 4%. Then the family is moving to Brisbane for ongoing specialist care, which they say isn't available here.
We want Xandy to have a normal life too, where it's not just planes and hospitals.
But what they see as a normal life comes at a cost. The family is raising money on a GoFundMe page to help them bear it.
Hard leaving family.
While fundraising is crucial for young Xander's family, so is encouraging organ donation. Donation rates dropped over the course of the pandemic, only adding to the agonising wait times for those in need.
It's just there's a lot of awareness that we'd like to bring to other people as well.
The family travels to Melbourne for the transplant this weekend, a mother's ultimate gift, which hopefully leads to a stable life. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, walkers will be taking to the streets this weekend with the Melanoma March storming its way out of hibernation. The funds raised will be going towards a world-first personalised trial, which could be the answer to saving lives.
It's a battle champion DARRYN PURCELL knows all too well.
I was diagnosed almost a little over 3 years ago now with stage 4 melanoma, and this guy was 8 weeks old at that point.
The 36-year-old will join hundreds of participants in this year's Melanoma March, preparing to tackle one of Australia's biggest killers.
About 12% of all the cancers that are diagnosed each year in Tasmania relate to melanoma.
The skin condition has the second highest cancer diagnosis for both men and women.
Melanoma is a very preventable cancer, but unfortunately 2 out of 3 Australians by the time they turn 70 will have had a skin cancer.
The disease typically occurs on parts of the body that have been overexposed to sun. However, other root causes can include fair skin, age, a weak immune system, or even an unusual mole.
So I noticed a freckle that suddenly changed shape or size. It might have changed colour. It actually might have grown or it might be itchy or bleeding.
The fundraiser is returning after a 2-year layoff. Its return will see the participants march towards a $1 million target.
I've benefited from previous melanoma marches of having treatment options, because if there weren't fundraising and treatment options available, I wouldn't be around to be a dad to this guy.
Participants will be pounding the pavement here at Belrive Beach Park come Sunday, but anyone unable to attend the walk is encouraged to march their way via the Melanoma March website.
Get involved, register online to be amongst it, and come down and celebrate those that have survived and support those that are going through it.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
We have a game on our hands in the Sheffield Shield. Victoria declared shortly after lunch, still trailing Tasmania by 21 runs. Chasing quick wickets, the Vics had some success. Besides a Matthew Wade half-century, Tasmania's batsmen have failed to build a substantial buffer. The Tigers are at 7 for 170 at stumps on day 3, leading by 191 runs with 1 day of play remaining. Nearby in Dandenong, Tasmania has thumped Victoria in the women's one-day competition to lock in a spot in the WNCL final. Macy Gibson was devastating with the ball, taking 5 for 19. After bowling out the Vics for a paltry 130, the Tigers cruised to a 7-wicket win in the 31st over. They've now locked in top spot on the table and will face either New South Wales or South Australia in the final. The Jack Jumpers are preparing to light up once again to hold off the Illawarra Hawks for the second time in a week. They'll head to the Silverdome to battle it out on Saturday. Coming off 3 consecutive wins, a 4th will keep the inaugural NBL side firmly in finals contention. The coaching staff aren't getting ahead of themselves.
It sounds cliche, we're really just focused on Illawarra
because if we take our eye off the ball and don't control what we can, and right now we can still write our own story.
Scott hasn't really talked about playoffs. He talks about just approaching the next day at work and getting better in practice and just focusing on the next opponent we have. But I think playoffs are definitely on people's minds. You know, I think it's human nature.
Despite a tough 2 matches back-to-back, players have pulled up strong. Will Magnay will remain sidelined as he continues rehab on his knee. All the round 16 action kicks off at 5:30. The Launceston Tornadoes linchpins are back for 2022, with KELSEY GRIFFIN signing on the dotted line to join Keely Froling at the club. The pair supercharged the Torns NBL1 campaign last season before it was shut down due to COVID.
I wouldn't classify it as unfinished business, but more building towards something pretty special.
Griffin is currently playing for Canberra in the WNBL. Launceston's Nathaniel Atkinson has been called up to the Socceroos. The Riverside Olympic product will join the squad in Sydney for the upcoming World Cup qualifiers against Japan and Saudi Arabia. Newly naturalised A-League star Bruno Fornaroli has also been selected.
He's got a great reputation of having a winning mentality. He feels Australian because he's been in Australia that long.
It's a massive opportunity and I'm ready to take it.
If Atkinson plays, he will be the first capped Tasmanian Socceroo since Dominic Longo in 1998.
And a happy St Patrick's Day to you all. A nice warm day to enjoy a crack. Slaunchy is toinchy. Hobart warmed up to a high of 29 today, as did Grove. Launceston 26, Burnie 23 and Devonport 22. Some temperatures up on average by as much as 9 degrees. Bushy Park 28, Flinders Island 27, Smithton 26, King Island and Strawn 25, Friendly Beaches 24 today and St Helens 23. Humid conditions today as we had a fair bit of cloud cover as well. To 9 a.m, Grey had 63 millimetres of rain, while today Grey topped the list again with 15 millimetres. The frontal band is just to our west with a cooler air mass following. The southeast of the mainland under a cloud as well. Convective cloud over northern Australia. The cold front moves to our east tomorrow, leaving a trough lingering. A high to our west extends a ridge over the mainland. Winds shifting southwest-southeasterly in the morning and picking up to 30 knots, swells to 3.5 metres. Strong wind warning has been issued for waters between Sandy Cape clockwise to Tasman Island, so a fair portion of the coastline. Also a warning that minor flooding may occur along the St Paul's River. Forecast for tomorrow, 18, a possible early shower for Hobart. 18 also for Huonville, early shower for Campania, same number there. Launceston 23 and partly cloudy, Devonport 22, 23 the top for Georgetown. Maybe a shower in the far north, possible afternoon shower for Burnie and 21, 20 for Strawn, partly cloudy for Wynyard and 22 degrees. St Helens, morning showers 19, 19 for Swansea, cloudy for Port Arthur, 18 the maximum. UV sticking to its guns on a high of 7. On Saturday, a fine day across the state with light winds, fine as well on Sunday apart from the chance of a shower over the far south, and on Monday showers over the northwest and possibly for the northeast and southwest as well. Perth and Adelaide both expecting 29 degrees tomorrow. Light showers clearing from Melbourne. Showers back on over New South Wales and increasing for Sydney, and a possible shower as well for Brisbane. Cloudy around at the moment, 22 in Hobart, 22 in Launceston, cloudy and 20 in Devonport. This working the weather, Kim's interrupted my St Patrick's Day. I've got some Caffreys over there waiting for me right now.
Funny, I knew what that was. Thanks, Merv. That is all your news for now. We'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us this evening. For now, good night.